You're looking at the Suncor Community Leisure Center at McDonald Island Park in Fort McMurray, Wood Buffalo, Alberta. My name's Brian Chick, and you are tuned in for the new Holland Canadian U21 Championships. With me today, we have a special guest in the booth, Alex Duncan Wu from Team British Columbia 2.
It's British Columbia 2, yeah, that's right.
Over the next few days, we're going to be bringing in some of the athletes from this competition to give them a chance at try out their broadcasting chops. So welcome to the booth, and tell us a bit about yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Dylan. Pleasure to be here. My name's Alex. I've been curling, a good 8 years now, 10 years. Just really excited to be here. It's a great event. Watch some good curling tonight, and should have a good game for us.
Is this your first time at the U21s?
No, actually, this is my third one now. So I've been in Stratford in 2021, or 2022, and then it was in Rouyn-Noranda last year in Quebec, and that was a really cool experience going up north there to northern Quebec.
Our matchup today is between Newfoundland's Kaylee Locke and Northwest Territories, skipped by Sydney Galusha, but Kali Skogi throws fourth stones. And we're about to get underway here with Sorry, we've actually had a lineup change, so that title is wrong. Ella Skogi is the lead, and Bryn Chorstowski is going to step in at the second position. So Northwest Territories going first. Newfoundland and Labrador will have last rock based on that pre-game draw to the button. And we will slip into the top 12 with the first one. We've seen a lot of this in our games. That first end tends to be a pretty clean one. Not a lot of rocks in play, a lot of open hits. Is that how you do it?
Yeah, for sure. A lot of teams like to get the feet under their water, hit out the first end, maybe get comfortable with the ice. As well as ice has been super fast this event. No issues with the speed, and even if you're throwing a guard, sometimes that slips in. That's okay, right? So looks like we're just gonna have a nice, easy hit here.
Yeah, we'll get a lot of that. Almost every game we've seen all week has had a fairly clean first end. Not very many teams willing to mix it up right out of the gate. So we'll get to see, again, this is going to be Ella Skogi. Little speed wobble there. Nice recovery.
Got the landing gear down, no problem.
This ice, like as you said, has been really fast with a lot of swing on the arena side. Is it the same over at the curling club? I haven't actually had a chance to watch a lot of games over there.
No, the curling club's great too. We're getting similar swing, I think, both sides. Similar speeds as well. Just awesome ice, honestly. Ice Bears have been doing a great job, and the stones as well. We noticed the stones are super lively here at the arena, in particular, and that's really helps you make those high weight doubles when you need to, get that extra weight to get those rocks going.
So Izzy Patterson with her second of the first end, throwing it out to the wing.
Yep, with Hammer just trying to keep play away from the middle.
Well, maybe we'll get some rocks in play after all. The corner guard goes up, and now we're going to see a center. So maybe we little offense on the agenda.
Yeah, I think we had a hin roll out, right? So,
yeah.
It looked like Newfoundland was trying to go in there, came up short, but that's totally fine. Team Northwest Territory is going to throw up the guard.
So this is Bryn Chorstowski, who has been summoned. She's been the fifth player all week and has been substituted in at the second position. Mackenzie Chasen taking a break. It's nice to always get that alternate player in after they've been sitting and watching for game after game.
Yeah, definitely. It's awesome to play on this arena ice. It's a great confidence builder for the future as well, especially maybe if your alternate's a younger player or someone that doesn't get this opportunity. So, yeah, really nice seeing the alternates getting in some action on the ice on the arena surface.
Sate Penny looking for an open hit. This Newfoundland team playing out of the Remax Center at the St. John's Curling Club.
Big roll. Okay, that's good.
looked like a nice control weight there. As I said, these rocks super lively. No need to throw the high heaters early. It's a nice control weight, board weight. Does the trick most of the time. So nice to see these curlers calling that control weight, making sure they stick around.
You definitely see how weight sensitive those hit weights are. If you throw them hard, they tend to run pretty straight, and if you get down below that kind of hack board weight, you do see quite a lot movement.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely very weight sensitive. I'd say it's a little bit release sensitive as well.
Definitely.
If you get it out there, but it'll run straight on you. You could turn it in. It could go sideways. So, it's really shows the skill of these curlers. Really, the ice is a good tester to make sure that everyone's, you throw a good rock to make the nice shots. Let's see if Newfoundland can get a roll here. It'd be nice.
You got the hit, and they're rolling. Will it stick around? No, just a little too far. Needed to come up just another inch.
Yeah, they said that center line, you never know. It could go on you. It could run straight. So
I was about to ask, how difficult are those line calls? Because sometimes they seem like they're busting, and sometimes it looks like they're just running. And that one curled a little bit, but needed to come up a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. When you're trying to go for the roll there, if you're off it just a second, it could go on, bust on you, and you end up nose. So it seems like it's going to be no problem, though, in the first end. It looks like Team Russell Terhoy is, not sure if they're calling the guard or the top four, but the roll out there won't really affect the first end here.
I think it looked like they were going right in. This is Sydney Galusha, who's actually skipping the game, but throws third stones. And Galusha, obviously a famous name in women's curling.
That's right. We had a couple of famous last names here on the sheet.
Yeah.
So.
Mom, Carrie Galusha, who's represented the territories at the Scotties, I think 15 times, something like that.
Might be the record holder, actually.
She was here all week and has taken off today to take part in a charity bonspiel in Toronto. So it's nice to see Carrie here supporting her daughter. And here's the other famous name that you may recognize, Haley Gushu, daughter of current Canadian champion Brad Gushu, who's also was here earlier this week and is now headed off to Switzerland for the Men's World Championships.
Yeah, it's great having those curling parents there helping them with their technical when they need it.
Did you see Brad? You get an autograph or a picture or anything?
I did see Brad, but he looked pretty zoned in. He was watching the game there, so I didn't really want to disturb him. He's a great curler, obviously, but he's also a parent, and it's great for them to have the opportunity to watch their daughters, Brad's daughter and Carrie's daughter, curl at this event. So
I did see on Facebook just a little while ago that Brad and team, they've all made it to Switzerland. It seems like he was just here yesterday, but I guess that's the nature of international travel. You fly overnight and all of a sudden you're in Schaffhausen.
Oh. I wonder if it's colder there than it is here in Fort Mac.
It looked pretty pleasant in the photo, but Fort Mac's supposed to warm up this weekend.
Yeah, we got a little bit of snowfall couple of days. But it's melting quickly, that's for sure.
Haley Gushu with her second. Still trying to get that roll under the corner.
Almost.
Again, just off by an inch. These getting the right roll has been really difficult, I think, for most of the teams that we've watched. Getting it just right is super hard because of how lively these rocks are. Either they spring far too much or you get a little too much of the nose, and we haven't seen a lot of great rolls. However, we've seen a few.
Yeah, it's obviously a difficult shot. In my opinion, hin roll is probably one of the hardest shots in curling because you've got to be so precise on that line call. Also, the weight comes into play too with how much the rocks are bouncing.
Yeah, rocks are definitely a big factor in that. You say these are super springy rocks. There's a lot of bounce when they hit each other. Sometimes your club rocks might be a little deader when they can kind of thunk into each other and they don't spring quite so much.
Yeah, you can just hear it, when you're playing, just the crisp, clonk when they hit each other. Also helps with the fast surface and, get some of the houses, very lively, so.
Use some signals, okay?
So skip Kaylee Locke with her first. Still going to try to get that little roll under, but the window's getting smaller. You have to get not close to that guard, but it's kind of in your field of vision, so sometimes it just looks harder. Kaylee Locke represented Canada at the Youth Olympics in mixed doubles just earlier this year, and she and partner Simon Perry wore the maple leaf in Korea.
Yeah, that's quite an experience. Wow. I think the couple of the athletes from the mixed team are here as well. I believe it's Nathan Gray and Owen Fisher.
Yep, from Nova Scotia.
Yeah. So, it's great for those athletes to have that experience at a multi-sport event like the Youth Olympics.
Yeah, the 4-player team, the mixed team, was assigned based on just the selection process, but the mixed doubles, they actually had to play a best-of-7 series, and Jackson Hebert of Alberta was also part of that. And Kaylee and Simon were actually down 3-1 in that best-of-7 and came back with 3 consecutive wins to win in Game 7. So it was a really emotional roller coaster for all of them that week. And, yeah, they definitely earned their right to wear that jacket. This one has to curl a lot.
Bryn, it's fine. It's fine. You're missing a bat foot.
Unfortunate there. It looks like one of the sweepers just said quite a bit more.
Yeah, little overthrown, maybe a little pokey on the release. We did mention the release sensitivity of this surface, and if you give it a good stab and it's not at the broom, it's probably not going to get back up to the broom, especially with a little extra weight.
Okay.
So out of nowhere, it looked like a pretty clean end, but Newfoundland with a chance for a deuce right off the bat. Kaylee Locke looking for a piece of the paint.
Just needs the paint, that's right.
All right. Let's move it, girls. Here we go. Little wider.
Sweepers calling back rings. They don't seem too worried about it. Just cleaning it in there.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. 14-5. 2 yellow.
Right to the back 4 as predicted, and Newfoundland on the board early on, 2 points. They'll take that lead into the second end. We'll be back right after this.
When I think New Holland, the first word that would come to my mind, I would think success. I think without it, for me, the success isn't there.
Whenever you deal with somebody so long and they take care of you, you remember that.
New Holland builds products that will continue to evolve and make the farmer more efficient, that can produce food for the world.
Here's to those who ask how. Like Kevin, who asked Janine from Home Hardware how to build a place to work. Or not work. Or Siobhan, who took Josh's advice and created a front yard worthy of this TV commercial. Or Eric and Sasha, who asked Julie how to reimagine their backyard so they could be more outdoorsy. Complete your next project with helpful advice from thousands of store owners and team members across Canada. Home Hardware and Building Centers. Here's how.
Two points on the board for Newfoundland and Labrador, and they take the early lead over Northwest Territories 1, playing out of the Yellowknife Curling Club.
It's going backwards.
You're watching the New Holland Canadian U21 Championships. from Fort McMurray, Wood Buffalo, Alberta. I'm Brian Chick. I'm here with Alex Duncan Wu out of British Columbia. How's your week going so far? How are you enjoying the competition?
You know, our games they've been all close games, and we've been back and forth in quite a few of them. Some of them didn't go our way, some of them did, and you know, right now we're just trying to enjoy the experience and you know, play all these great curlers from across the country.
Lots to be decided yet in both men's and women's play. There's still playoff spots up for grabs. Even the teams that are undefeated are either probably going to move through, but nothing's guaranteed yet as far as all the different permutations of wins and losses yet to come. This is draw 14, so there's still 2 more men's draws and 2 more women's draws to come.
Yeah, definitely. Anything can happen in those last few draws. Even if you're undefeated, you got to keep curling well until the last stone. And even if you're at 3 losses, 4 losses, you never know how those tiebreakers can line up. And those last stone draws being so crucial for the tiebreakers. So, you know, just taking each game one by one and trying to win out. Obviously, if you're down, and still trying to play well if you're doing well in the event.
Yeah, we saw that last stone draw be critical in the mixed doubles from Fredericton last week, where 8 teams were tied for the last 4 spots. So 4 of them got in based on their last stone draw, and 4 of them were eliminated based on your last stone draw. So that really tells you, kind of paints the picture of how critical a good pre-shot draw, pre-game draw.
Absolutely, not just getting the hammer in the first end, but the overall standings. It just makes it such a crucial part of the game.
So Northwest Territories with a little bit of early pressure on, sitting 2. Not quite buried, but you never like seeing your other opponent's rock sitting in the house.
Nope, whenever it's in that field of view.
So Tay Penny looking for either a nose hit, maybe even a double.
Yeah, it looks like she's close here. Oh, just missing the back one there.
Scrapes it on the way by, but not all bad. Hit it on the nose, gets to stay there.
Well, controlling the center is what you want to do there without the hammer.
You got it.
Ellis Skogie playing second.
No, sprint now. Oh, now we're just gonna.
Unfortunate jam there.
Yeah, that was always the risk. You knew that you had to get at least to the nose or maybe a little bit low, and just staying on the high side there.
Yeah, it looked like the skip Sydney Galusha there did see the maybe outside release and was trying to keep it straight and go the other way. Not all is lost though. She did sit for first shot, and it looks like Newfoundland here is going to ignore that rock, just come around the center. Definitely not a bad call, but up to maybe a little surprising here.
I love it. Just a little. Don't concern yourself with rocks on the edge of the 12-foot. Let's go make them chase us. Put one in the 4-foot. Try to bury one. Or maybe at least set something up for later on.
Absolutely. I love seeing put the pressure on. Unfortunately, going to rack on the guard there. Still controlling the center, though.
Teams will tend to have a preferred style of play, whether that's throwing more hits or more draws, a little more offense, a little more defense. And I'd love to see a young team just get really comfortable with a lot of rocks in play and say, you know what, I'm not gonna play your game. You have to play mine. And, you know, try to put the pressure on them.
Yeah, absolutely. Our team's been trying to put lots of rocks in play too. When it works, but sometimes it doesn't work and you're giving up big ends, but that's part of the strategy. So you just have to execute, really. That's the name of the game, is execution.
We're just tapping them in.
It's like another overcurl here, unfortunately. Ice is swinging as we talked about, so.
Yeah, I think if there's kind of a running theme that most of our commentary has mentioned again and again all week, it's rocks are curling a lot, and teams don't tend to take enough ice, especially on draws. And when they're throwing the hits, it's just so weight sensitive that if it's almost on that 9.5 second mark. If you throw it any harder than 9.5 seconds, it'll run pretty straight, but anything softer, you're going to get a lot of snap, and we've seen a lot of those 10.5, 11 second hits over curl.
I would definitely agree with that. I've had my fair share of over curls this weekend. Absolutely.
Gotta go.
Haley Gouju looking for a double, and Satay Penny trying to make it curl. They get the one, but will roll out. And now you'll see Sydney Galusha try to sink one in behind there. Use those corners against Newfoundland and Labrador. Or sorry, those center guards against Newfoundland and Labrador.
Absolutely good opportunity here to put some pressure on Sip 2. Looking to get that deuce back in the second, probably.
So skip, but throwing third stone, Sydney Galusha looking for just a draw to the top of the forefoot, probably.
Yeah, I'd say so. Interesting, we see the skip throwing the third rocks. Even Team Galusha, I believe Carey was throwing lead rocks and skipping the game, so I think it's just something different that works for every team.
Yeah, they've mixed it up a little bit. With Joanne Rizzo on the team, she was throwing skips rocks for a while. She was even skipping the game for a little bit. Right. And, but especially at this age, the kind of the philosophy is that, don't put all the pressure on one person. The same person throwing the last rocks doesn't need the one thinking their way through the game. So if you can divide up that division of labor a little bit, it takes a bit of pressure off everybody, and it works for some teams. Some skips want to be throwing that last rock, and some just like calling the game.
Absolutely.
Certainly been a lot of successful teams with unorthodox lineups. So Haley Gouju looking for a double right in the crotch pocket there.
Oh.
Okay, sorry guys.
Hit a little too much of the outside one first, and that is an unfortunate nudge.
Yeah, that thing is lost, as we'd say, behind the stagger. Another opportunity here for Northwest Territories. If you get another one behind there, I might have Team Newfoundland throwing a run back or something, trying to clean some stones up.
Looking for the draw here, just at the top of the forefoot. I might be tempted to play this the other way with the outturn. Would you ever consider that? With the higher guard?
Yeah, definitely. The stagger is set up for the outturn, but that is a little bit of a wider path. You'd have to be going, maybe taking ice out on the 12-foot. And we've seen the team particularly in-turn this end, so looks like this one might be a little late, though.
Not a ton of rotation, too. You see this just kind of drifting sideways over that center line. Weight wasn't terrible, but when it has that soft rotation on it, it tends just to float and drift off and lose a bit of pace.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of teams throwing with not spinners, as we say, but more rotation helps keep the rock straighter,
especially
a little farther.
Especially on this kind of surface with these rocks, they're going to be a little bit sharper. They're going to curl a lot more drastically, and if you're soft on those releases, the rotation, you definitely see that rock curl earlier, and it's much harder to control with the sweeping.
Yeah, I've also had my fair share of over curls with my draws. Bit of a theme, but that's all right. See if Kaylee Locke, the skip from Newfoundland, can find the right weights. And a little bit of a narrow port there, but if she gets through, she'll be on the pin. And
she can also play a little chisel off her outside yellow to get another one buried under there. But Kaylee, obviously, coming through the Youth Olympic experience lately, has played on arena ice quite a bit this year, so she will be quite familiar with a nice pokey positive release and a little bit of a wobble.
No problem.
Happens to the best of us. Especially later in the week, you don't realize that how many games you play, how many rocks you throw. It does have its effect on the body. You do get a little bit tired at some point.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a 8-game round robin. Well, looks like a good one coming in here.
And there's your nudge.
A little nudge.
And the sweep to the top of the button, buried. Wow.
Great shot there by Kaylee Locke. Looks like the sweepers there communicating the weight. Great team shot. Maybe Haley in the house calling for that little wick. Always good to have a plan B in the back of your mind. Was a skip as a line caller. and maybe talking about that pre-shot as well, and making sure that the whole team's on board if there's a plan B to go for.
Yeah, we definitely knew it was there, so I'm sure they did too. And halfway down, you got to make that call. Are we playing for the tick, or are we going to hope that it curls that extra inch? And I think one of the things that I do a lot of teaching at various levels, and one of the things I tell people who are trying to figure out how to skip is, if you're going to plan B, do it as soon as possible. Don't cross your fingers and hope that this thing curls 6 feet, because it's not going to happen. So just,
Wishful thinking.
Don't cling to false hope when it's not going to happen.
You open it up, it's fine.
Or do we just play that?
Play
Then they
what?
guard, and then we hope we have room to come in?
I say we try it, and then if we feel it, it's fine. Okay, you got it. Just 10? 9-5-10?
Good discussion there by the back end.
Okay, you got it.
Try to get things moving a
Yeah.
little bit.
I like this call here. It looks like they're going to play perhaps the run back. It could also just hit the red onto the top yellow there on that angle and just open things up, maybe give a path to the shot rock.
Yeah, the run back's really tough just because of the stagger of that yellow rock closest to the red. You have to just skinny it to get any of the yellow rock in the back. However, if you get a little wide on it and you run that red into the yellow, spin the red in, you do open it up and potentially leave a couple more scoring red points sitting around for your next shot. But we shall see. It's Kali Skogi looking for some sort of opening shot, trying to get some rocks moving.
We'll see. This looks good coming in here. Oh,
Good enough.
looks like, yeah, they get that shot rock spinning enough to lie first. I'm not sure if that was the call. Looks like they were trying the straight run back by the looks of it, and it just wicked the top one.
Yeah, if that curls another half an inch, it's probably perfect.
Yeah.
But just that little rub off the yellow we were talking about. However, they did move the shot stone, and red does sit one.
Yep, go for it.
Gonna be the same draw here for Kaylee Locke.
Always nice to throw the same thing you just made, so expect this to be close. No wobble this time though, so you gotta take that into account.
Hey, Sad. Room right now.
Satay Penny and Izzy Patterson on the brush.
Gotta go, Satay. Yeah, we gotta move.
It's like calling top 8 here.
And if you throw top 8 weight, it will snap sideways. This line looks really good.
Oh, they're moving it.
And they gotta keep going just a little bit more for a bite of the button. What a sweep.
Great sweep by Satay and Izzy there. I liked how they were looking up, communicating the weight all the way down. And then they knew they need to go, and they pounded, and they got it there. It's a great sweep by those two.
Yeah, that's a great example of, if you throw the right weight, how much it will curl. They were worried about, just outside the hog line, that it was still on that outside yellow. Not only miss it, they overcurled past it by 2 feet and put it right where they wanted to.
Yeah, you really have to trust that late finish on this ice. Sometimes if you go for curl too early, you send it sideways. So just knowing those paths there is crucial.
Now, all that being said, there still is a shot for 2.
Anything straight back is...
Kali Skogi just threw it.
Just threw it, as you said, yeah.
So this is basically a nose hit, and if you stick it, tie game. Oh, that's unfortunate. Just an inch wide and disaster. Looked like another steal of 2 there. So 4-0 for Newfoundland and Labrador. We'll be back with the third after this.
Nutrien Ag Solutions. Everything you need to win the season and go full seed ahead.
This is it. It all comes down to this rock. The hours in the gym, the weeks away from my family. This is what I've been training for. And all those voices trying to tear me down, I'm here to silence them. We've given everything we have for a chance to get everything we want.
Welcome back to the Suncor Community Leisure Center at McDonald Island Park in Fort McMurray, Wood Buffalo, Alberta. You're watching the New Holland Canadian U21 Championships, and just an unfortunate miss there by Kali Skogie. Needed to curl maybe an inch more, but just the fact that it hung out and squirted through and rattled everything, and just when the dust settled, it did not look good for the territories.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'd argue pretty unlucky there too, just having the run back stumps to go through there. Inch either side, she's either just giving up the steal of one or maybe even scoring if she hits off her own, so just an unlucky shot. Looks like Newfoundland there staying on the offense, though. I'm not sure if they called the guard or if they came up late.
We do talk a lot. These are 10 end games. You know, a 4-point lead is nice, but it really doesn't mean that much at this stage of the game. You know, you can give up a 2. They steal again. All of a sudden, it's tie game by the time you get to halftime. So you will see a lot of the teams sticking with whatever style is working for them already, because you're probably not going to play pure defense for 8 whole ends.
Absolutely. I can tell you personally, a 4-point lead is definitely not safe. I like the team staying on the offense too. You know, you feel comfortable with the ice. You have your draw weight down. It's like nice draw weight there from Lydia Z. Patterson.
And a lot of late finish there. I thought that was going to be almost entirely open, but still got about half buried.
Yeah, it looks like enough to not induce a hit. Looks like Northwest Territories coming right around everything there.
Bryn Jorskowski looking for a come around of her own.
It's way out there. It's gotta come a lot.
Yeah, it looked like a nice positive release there. Lost the handle, which is great. It seems like coming in nice at the end here.
If the weight's good, this will walk right over.
Walk it does.
And look at that. We're going to have a quick technical timeout as Skip Kaylee Locke gets a Band-Aid on maybe a blister or a scrape or something, but
all good, thank you.
She's back in action and the clock will start running.
Yep, 38 minutes of thinking time, I do believe.
And 2 coaches' interactions per 5 ends. They're kind of like timeouts, but the clocks don't stop.
The clocks don't stop. You get to chat with your coach. Other team gets to chat with their coach. Pilot program, I believe, in its 2nd year maybe with Curling Canada.
I think this might be actually the 3rd year, but they keep adjusting the number of visits and so on. So 2 per 5 ends. You can't carry them over.
Yeah, personally, I like this new system. 1 per end felt like maybe it could be too much at some points. I think the 2 per half is a nice balance, allowing the coaches to be involved more in the strategy than the traditional 2 timeouts, but not taking up too much game time for the curlers.
Yeah, with the traditional timeouts, there would be a travel time while the coach walks to the other end, and then there'd be the whole full minute of timeout, and then it really kind of disrupted the flow of the game. This interaction, the coach will actually be at the end with the skips, and when the end is over, this coach walks down to the other end and sits at so whenever the timeout calls, the coach is already right there accessible. So you'll see them sitting next to the scoreboards on the back of the boards. And it allows for a little bit more immediate feedback than waiting till after the game to debrief and tell you what you did wrong in the second end. Nice shot there from the territories, Eliskogi.
I'm seeing too more pressure out here on Newfoundland. It looks like they're going to go for, maybe it looks like trying the double. I think I saw normal there. Signaled by Skip. Kaylee Locke.
So Tay Penny looking to get a good chunk of this red. Trying to hit it, but maybe just a 2/3. Looks coming up to the nose though. Maybe get a little roll under. There's a plan B for you.
Yeah, not bad. Rolling all the way over there. Maybe a little unfortunate. Does guard the shot stone there in the back forefoot. But still getting rid of opposition stones when you're up. Never a bad result.
No, if we've seen anything so far from Newfoundland and Labrador too, I wouldn't be surprised if they try to leave that red there and use it as backing and looks going to freeze to it.
Someone looks close here coming in.
They're going to try to finish it over a little bit, carve it. That's a great shot there. Ella Skogie lobs it on the forefoot and then has a little spill while she's trying to get up from her slide.
I also donate this.
Looks like she's all right though.
They're 15-2 from the skip there.
Again, happens to the best of you. I don't care how long you've been curling or how comfortable you are on this ice. Gravity affects us all.
Absolutely.
Haley Gushu looking for
straight back peel.
Straight back peel. Got to stay on the high side of this one.
Shooter gun.
Shooter's out of the way and mission accomplished.
Yeah, good rotation on that rock too, helping it spring out. Good setup here for Northwest Territories though. They've got two in the forefoot there, half buried around a Newfoundland stone. So it looks like they're going to try to go open side here, kind of not group their rocks, which is definitely a good strategy. Don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, as they say.
Definitely. There's not an easy double there as it stands. That the two reds are somewhat protected. It's tough to get them both out. Not impossible, but you don't want to put a third there and make anything easier. So they'll be looking for about a T-line, full 8, maybe half buried behind the yellow guard there. That's on the New Holland logo. Sydney Galusha looking to execute that call.
Sweeper's working hard on this one.
I don't think this one has the legs.
That's okay, just leave it. That one. Okay. 17-0. I think we're going to just come down.
I'm okay with either.
I have a little over half.
Okay, this should be plenty.
Okay.
Well, usually the belly tap means about a normal weight, depending on your team. That might be 9.5 seconds.
Yep. As I said, with these rocks, you don't need to be throwing heaters to make your double even. Control or normal is just good enough here for sure.
Haley Gushu looking for to hit the half a rock she can see. This looks pretty close if they can sneak it by the guard.
Oh, just wicking on the top one there. Unfortunate.
Getting decent miss though, gets the guard out of the way and really opens up those reds. So now, by throwing to the open side, you do realize that you're leaving a much easier double this time around.
You got it. You got it.
Still not a bad call, just as you're going for 2, not 3.
No, that's all right, and you still have to force the other skip to make the double, right? So I like this call. This is basically securing your deuce, which is that's a good starting point for Team Northwest Territories to get back in the game here.
The line looks really good on this one. They just got to lob it, sweep it right to the T line. At least be full 8 to count third shot, and they do. Or did they?
Ooh.
I kind of grabbed on them just at the end.
Having a look there, not sure.
Oh, I don't think they got it. I think that's just a couple inches short.
I'd like to make it this way. I think this way is nicer.
Yeah, as you said, it looks like it just lost a bit of handle there at the end. Maybe it just walked over a couple, another couple turns, and gonna allow Kaylee Locke here to try to make the double sit too. I think they're throwing a nice control weight again, or normally try to make the double, but also stick in the rings.
Yeah, in a perfect world, you get just across the nose with a nice control weight. The two reds should spill easy, and you could probably even roll half buried.
Yeah, that'd be a great result.
But your priority now is make sure one of the reds goes, and hopefully both. So Kaylee Locke with her first rock of the third end. This is a little bit more than control weight. This is pretty firm. Gets the hit, gets the double, well, not quite the double, but moves it far enough to sit two and rolls. Totally buried. Great shot there from Kaylee Locke.
Yeah, look at that thing just slide in there.
Needed to curl a half an inch more and it would have been perfect, but that's still pretty good.
She's pretty happy with that, I would say.
You got it.
I just nitpick a lot, It wasn't quite perfect, but yes, it's a darn good result.
Same with my teammates. They like to nitpick themselves. Fortunately, we're not all perfect.
You got it.
It's like calling for the freeze here.
Yeah, most teams don't make everything perfectly. It's just who misses the best.
What was her hot time? 15:25.
Yeah, if we were all perfect curlers, then no need to play the game. So.
Yeah. 16 runs so hard. I think it's just because she's throwing her entrance.
Kali Skogie looking for a draw, maybe a freeze to the top of the 4-foot or the 8-foot on the right side into those yellow pair.
Yeah, if she could nestle in right between those two, that'd be a terrific shot. Calling hard line early here.
Line doesn't look too bad. Now they're saying weight only.
Slides by there, unfortunately.
Just a little bit of miscommunication there, I think, between the sweepers and the skip, I guess.
Yeah, I'd agree. It looked like maybe she was a little tight out of the hand, and the third there was calling hard early for line. Just never got the weight call, I think, from the sweepers.
Yeah, let's just make it here. Okay. Do you like there? Is that okay?
I don't think they're. I think those lobbies were third shot.
Okay, so let's wrap it.
So Team Newfoundland here sitting two. What do you think's the best spot here?
That's what they're discussing, and basically,
I just don't want to leave this.
ideally you don't want to put it in a spot where they can draw to it, so you want to keep it in front of the tee line.
Yeah, I like it.
You don't want to give them an easy nose hit, so basically full 8, maybe half buried on the right side, full 8, just half buried behind that red, right next to the other red.
All right, same way that
Yeah, that looks like where they were calling.
What was that? 30
The
seconds?
scenario is kind of, what do you want to leave the other skip? Do you want to leave them leave a draw or leave a hit?
Yeah, I can give you a hand more.
Maybe you tuck half of it under and make the other skip the side.
Yeah, in a perfect world, you make her wonder for a little bit first. If you just give her one choice, then she's fully committed to it. But if you give your opponent something to think about, maybe I could do this, maybe I could throw the draw, at least it puts a little discomfort in their mind instead of the full commitment. The line looks pretty good. They just have to get it to full 8 foot. And don't think it's going to get there.
Just short. That should be okay, though. It's hard. No double, really, on those two yellows there, unless you really want to go for it. But at this point in the game, looks like Team Northwest Territory is just going to try to draw for their 1 point.
Yeah, that's a smart call. There's no... I mean, It might be a miracle run triple for 3, but you don't really want to take that on because if you don't make it, it's essentially game over. So draw for 1. You keep this thing relatively close and live to fight another day. It's only the 3rd end.
Lots of game left. 10 ends. Anything can happen in 10 ends, that's for sure. So this be a nice settle down shot. Get some more confidence back in the team.
Asking for a little bit more ice, which is usually smart around here. But with the last rock in the 3rd end, Northwest Territories, Kali Skogi looking for a piece of the forefoot. Sweeper's calling top 8. Line's not an issue.
This one looks close. They just got to keep their brooms down, get it there.
Needs another inch. Will they get it there? And I think they do.
Sweeping.
1 point for the Territories. They're on the board. It's a 4-1 game. We'll be right back with the 4th end after this break.
When I think New Holland, the first word that would come to my mind, I would think success. I think without it, for me, the success isn't there.
Whenever you deal with somebody so long and they take care of you, you remember that.
New Holland builds products that will continue to evolve and make the farmer more efficient, that can produce food for the world.
Hey, Canada, come on into Montana's, where weekdays have turned into deal days. Why not check out our half-price wings every Monday, $5 tacos on Tuesdays, all-you-can-eat ribs Wednesdays, and drink deals every day, only at Montana's.
Welcome back to Fort McMurray, Wood Buffalo, Alberta for the New Holland Canadian U21 Championships. You're looking at 4th end action between Newfoundland 1 and Northwest Territories number 1. Both provincial or territorial champions wearing the heart crest on their chest and the provincial crest on their back. So Territories on the board after a nice draw from Kali Skogi, and unfortunately the guard attempt slipped into the house, so Newfoundland able to hit and roll wide. Bryn Chorstowski is going to try attempt number 2 to put that guard somewhere near the center line. That's a better offering. So now we got the guard in play, protected by the free guard zone, can't be removed from play. Izzy Patterson going to go right around it.
Yeah, lots of game here left for Northwest Territories, pardon me. Looking probably just to get some rocks in play. Maybe get a steal, try to get a force to one, something like that.
It's always a little frustrating when you when that first guard slides in, though.
Absolutely, but as I've been talking about, it's a fast surface, that's for sure. You got to trust your sweepers, and we've had a fair share of our guards slide in too, and
this really derails trying to build an end, trying to kind of get your pieces in place, and you can't get that one in play, then it
like 15-8 almost.
Basically throws a wrench in your plans. But Newfoundland comes up a little bit light too, so they will have some rocks to play with.
Yeah, I'm sure most of these teams are talking about end plans between ends with their coach, and definitely I think for the Territories get some rocks in play. I think for Newfoundland, being up 3 with the hammer, probably trying to keep the center open, make sure they can get in there on their last, not trying to give up any steals. Nice shot there by second
Ella
Skauge there. And
as predicted, here comes Sate Pani trying to clear up that front.
Does a job there getting rid of one.
They did leave the red a little closer to that center line than they would have liked, but that was almost always going to happen if you play the peel from that side. There wasn't, unless you threw an absolute missile and hit a quarter of it or something, you might have been able to go across the top, but those were pretty lined up just to stuff all day.
Yeah, it's hard to commit to that quarter rock too, because if you just get a little wild in the center line, you want to hit something, right? So
yeah, we've definitely seen a lot of that this week. People reaching back for that little bit of extra weight and just feel a little pop on the release and flares it wide. But anyway, now Ella Skauge trying to make another draw, this time from the intern side.
Good sweep by the sweepers there. Looks like she's coming a little bit light. But one thing we talk about a lot is tolerance, and when you're down 3, definitely the tolerance there is light. So not the end of the world for sure on that missed draw.
I'd say 9 times out of 10 the tolerance is light. That's something I say on repeat when I'm skipping my club games back in Toronto. Is like, short's okay, short's okay. You know, I'd rather have you in front of the tee line, in front of the house, something that we can use later, as opposed to building that wall at the back of the 4-foot like we sometimes see.
Absolutely, any rocks behind the tee line could definitely help your opposition if you don't have the hammer. So looks like just a nose hit trying here, maybe trying to get inside.
Nicely done. That was real nice kind of control, board weight, able to manipulate it a little bit with the brushes, and well managed all the way down.
Yeah, I really like that weight choice. As we said, with these rocks, board weight's all I need to get something out of the rings, even hack weight sometimes.
So tell me a little bit about your experience here this week in Fort McMurray. Talk about this building a little bit. It's a tremendous facility. What kind of stuff have you been up to as far as this massive recreation center?
Absolutely, yeah, it's a phenomenal building. They've got basically everything you can think of here. Our team, we've been doing some volleyball. I know some teams have been going to the water park. Absolutely incredible water park they have here. And yeah, just a beautiful facility. And I think for a community like this, having a facility like that for everybody is just a phenomenal building.
Yeah, I think if you were a family with some kids in Fort McMurray, you'd probably be here every day for one thing or another. It's fitness center, it's playgrounds, it's the library, it's field houses, gymnasiums, water park, ping pong, squash courts. This place has literally everything you can think of, and the players have access to use all of that, and many of the teams have been taking advantage of that offer.
Absolutely. After perhaps stressful game, or after a long week, it's nice to be able to relax, do something fun with your teammates, or as well as meet new people here. And
I'm just kidding.
This building and the support staff and the volunteers and everyone have been so helpful, and we've really been enjoying our experience here.
This building also has a golf course. It's covered in snow right now, but there is a golf course with a golf simulator upstairs in the restaurant.
Yeah,
it's truly impressive. This place is really, really well done.
they're even running baseball practice. I saw when I came in here. That's my other sport.
So Haley Gushu going to take on the short tap split, I think it looks like.
Yeah, and again, I like this call. Even though you're up a few points, you know, if you can make this and tack your rock to the forefoot, maybe it puts a lot of pressure on the other team.
Just trying to hit a third of it, but this one's not going to do it, I don't think. It's got to curl a lot, so plan B, go around it, or just going to bounce off?
Just going to bounce off, yeah. Looked like they had close weight for maybe a T-line. It was talked about there as a skip, you know, just deciding when to make plan B. You know, maybe if the skip that Kaylee had called straight a little earlier, you could have went around it and made a nice shot. But, you know, those are really tough judgment calls. You never know with how the ice comes down at the end. Maybe the rock is perfect, and yeah, just a tough decision to make.
Now Sydney Galusha trying to make them pay for that little rub, looking for a roll under. Looks like she's got a good one too. Got the hit and the roll.
Oh, terrific shot there by Sydney Galusha.
And that turns the tables a little bit. Now Newfoundland doing the chasing.
A great shot there. Great line call. That was a great team shot, I think. An opportunity here for Newfoundland here if she can make Haley Gushu can make this run back, put more pressure.
Yeah, it's a bit of a good news, bad news situation. Good news, you made the shot, you got the roll. Bad news, it's a 2-foot run back to sit 3.
Looks like just got this out wide a bit. Fortunately, Haley did there. And now looking possible steal in play there for Northwest Territories.
So not content to steal one. Looks like they're trying to put the pressure on for to get another red in there.
Yeah, did they motion for the top there on the far left? Oh, it looks like a coach's interaction here at first one of the game.
Yeah, let's listen in here.
Looks like a short interaction there.
Yeah.
Direct message and direct to the point there, which I like.
That's Coach Brian Kellen coming out and saying, "Don't do that. That's what you're going to throw a guard." And I can agree with him on that one. I thought the tap was a little needlessly aggressive, and especially when you're going to leave that same short run back. So they're just going to try to throw that center guard and complicate things up the middle.
Oh,
Kylie Skogie not loving that slide, but recovered enough to put a good release on it.
Yeah, line looks okay here. Good adjustment made, I guess, in the slide. I just might see this one walk over a bit.
Pretty good, but maybe over curls just a bit.
I think it'll do the trick there. I can only see about maybe a quarter of that yellow now.
A little smirk says, that's not my best work, but like you said, that does the trick. It takes away most of that yellow. That short run is not really accessible anymore.
You like this now? I'm thinking this, or we play this right now?
Yeah, red is lost in there, as we'd say. A little bit of an option play here now, I think, for Team Newfoundland. Looks like talking about potentially a double peel, potentially the angle run. But here's another interaction called.
Yeah, Sandra Sparrow coming out to offer some words.
Like this one? The outside one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind that. You got the draw. Yeah. Then it's not bad, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, we're up 3. Yeah. One gets us up 4.
Okay, what do you like?
I like the draw.
Okay.
But what do you like?
This was the trade I was thinking, just the double the play. Don't say it. It's alright.
Okay. You choose. Either one.
Okay, let's go for this now. I'll make the draw on my next.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good discussion there with the team. Looked like Coach Sandra gave the draw as an option. I was also seeing that as an option.
9-5. Okay. 9-5.
But as we are up 3.
Really straight. Yeah.
the less rocks of the opposition color, obviously, in play, the better. So it looks like they're going to try here the angle run.
All right, let's make it.
Not an easy shot, I'd say, but definitely has a good reward possibility if the Kaylee Lock can make it.
I would have been tempted, I think, to peel off those two guards. Then you have all of these options again on your next one. Obviously, if you peel the guards, they can't guard everything. So you would have this run back, you would have the short yellow run back, and you'd still have the draw. So this one is kind of an all or nothing. If you don't make it, they can make your life difficult.
So they're going hard for line here.
He's close.
He's very close. And it looked like, I'm not sure there. They were calling hard for line, and it looked like it had to curl up a little bit.
It did. They overcooked it a bit. If that curls an inch or two more, you got that red all the way out. As it stands, you've made your scoring area a little bit bigger. There may be a look to hit that red through the. It's a port, but I think it's there.
Not a huge port, but yeah, definitely there. We'll see if, Callie Skoggy there can make Kaylee Lock pay and put one on the pin, and then we'll see what happens.
15-8.
Sweeper's calling 15-8, 16. That's incredibly fast.
That's really quick. We've been seeing mostly 15, 15 and a half. Anything more than that is really cruising.
I'd agree, but we have definitely seen it get up to 16 as well, though, so.
This is going sideways. Will it sneak by the guard? Yes, but it's not going to outcount any yellows.
May outcount the side one there on the left, not sure.
You might be right. I may have spoken too soon.
Nevertheless, I do expect to see the hit, whether it be for 2 or 3 through the port.
Yeah, I think that from our camera angle, that red-yellow debate is too close to call.
Yeah.
I would maybe lean towards yellow from that look, but it's really hard to say.
And I think in this case, it doesn't really change the call at all. You'll just hope to make this hit on the nose and deal with the measure as well at the end.
Yeah, so Kaylee just wanted to confirm when she got down in the hack that that hole looks as big as she thought it would, and it's pretty framed up there. If you can make it between those, that yellow and that red, it's almost guaranteed to nose hit. So they're playing inside out, probably with a good normal weight, I'd say. On the sweep early. Oh, this
looks like it's dashing towards the side.
Looked like that took off a little bit. Now, are you getting lucky on the ricochet? Somebody should be sweeping that.
Oh, another close one.
Nah, that's red.
You're calling it for sure? Oh, looks like you're right.
Pretty sure that was red. So that's a steal on the board. That'll be 4-2 going into the fourth end break. Well, we'll be back after this.
Everything I've worked for, everything I've sacrificed has led to this. It's out of your hands now. All the gold medals in the world can't help you now. You could throw the perfect rock and still miss, but it just takes one. You leave it all out there on the ice to leave behind a legacy.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
It was, in fact, another steal on the board for Northwest Territories. Almost a wild little ricochet fluker, but came up an inch short. So Newfoundland and Labrador will retain the hammer going into the fifth end. And Territories just got to be happy that they're keeping this one close.
Absolutely, yeah, that's a huge confident booster, I would say, for Team Northwest Territories. You know, when you're down 4, it can seem like an insurmountable lead, but you take a point every end for 4 ends, you're tied, right? So, you know, it's just baby steps, and good momentum builder there for Northwest Territories.
Just, yeah, down 4 after 2 sounds really tough, but down 2 after 4, that doesn't sound too bad.
No.
Well, Bryn Chorstowski looking for a wide draw around the, or maybe getting that, looking for just a tight guard, sorry.
Yeah, more rocks in play here. Not sure again if looked like Newfoundland and Labrador came up short on their draw attempt. So.
Not quite up to the center line, but again, I don't think that changes the call. Kind of had a hunch that Newfoundland and Labrador was going to play the wide draw.
Yep, the only difference there is it can be ticked. If we're playing the no-tick rule this year, I believe it's the first time we're playing it at the junior level, so I'd say it doesn't change the strategy too much. Obviously, junior teams were in calling the tick shot, but I think now most teams just come around the center guard, and I actually personally haven't seen too many ticks. I think the teams have adjusted their ice and they're sweeping and making sure they stay off the center rock.
In all the games we've watched so far, we've seen that rule come into play, I think only once, and it was when a come-around draw just rubbed the guard on the way by and had to be replaced. But other than that, I haven't seen anybody actually call a tick, and especially, obviously, not one that was touching the center line. Pretty decent attempt there from...
Yeah, that's a pretty good draw.
Izzy Patterson.
Maybe see a little sliver. I think they're calling maybe hack weight, board weight.
This is going to be all over that guard. Might get the run back, though.
Maybe plan B here.
Don't think it has the weight to remove it all the way, but pushes it to the back of the 8-foot.
Yeah, it's going back farther than I expected there. And, you know, life of rocks that we've been talking about.
Yeah, sometimes it, you miss by a millimeter and you get absolutely hosed by it, and sometimes you miss by a foot and you get a better result.
Yeah.
So
I have a few of those too. Yeah, so that's why you always have to stay with the rock. You never know. You know, one of my old coaches said, you know, get something out of every rock, even if it seems way off. You know, as a skip, you got to be a creative mind. You got to think of something and make something out of every rock.
Yeah. Try to improve your situation, even if it's not that much. But try to make it a little better than you found it. Will it stick? It does. Oh,
nice shot there by Steve Henry.
Newfoundland and Labrador sit 2, and no fear. Sidney Galusha just says, okay, ignore it. We're going to lob our own in there. Let's use those guards. So we're talking at the break how loud it gets in this building sometimes. We've got fans from all over the country. We have friends and family in from pretty much every province and territory. What's that like for you as a player out there with all that ruckus going on?
Absolutely, yeah. First of all, just in terms of playing, you know, you got to be loud. When it gets really loud, you got to use those hand signals. And that's really key to making sure that you can keep your team communicating even when it gets loud. On the positive side, though, just playing in front of so many crowds, just incredible. Like, you make a good shot and the crowd roars, and it just makes you feel so good. And I think, it's really motivating for a lot of these curlers to be able to play in front of, such passionate fans.
Okay, good hack.
A lot of these fans traveled quite a long way to be here. No knock on Fort McMurray, but it's not the easiest place to get to. So,
especially for Newfoundland and Labrador, on the other side of the country. So.
Prime example there. A lot of noise right in the middle of the delivery for Sate Penny, but Newfoundland and Labrador using those hand signals, like you mentioned, to communicate whether or not it needed to be swept, and pretty decent result. Got to the nose and maybe buried just a hair. Fin half covered.
Yeah, it's a nice shot there. Being able to concentrate when you're mid-slide and the crowd erupts maybe for a nice shot on the other sheet. That's definitely something that you get shocked by the first couple of times, but then after you experience that, you get used to it. And I think at the end of the day, everybody's focused on the ice. You kind of learn to tune it out.
I talked to a few of the curlers earlier in the week, and some of them said, I just love the energy that the crowd brings, and I don't care if they're cheering for me or against me. It's really motivating.
Yeah, I think motivating is a great word. It's also a very unique experience. You won't really see fans like this at a curling club right during your men's league or whatever. So definitely taking in the experience is really key, and enjoying every moment that you're on the ice.
We got horns, we got cowbells, we got flags, we've got moose calls.
Moose calls. I love the moose call.
Sydney Galusha looking for a soft weight hit. Not going to get the roll under.
Might get the double though. We'll see. Just not enough for the double there. Maybe a case there where you go for plan B maybe at the end, but
caught in between.
Caught in between, absolutely.
Didn't have the weight to hold it out, but wasn't going to come up and roll under. So you will see Haley Gushu trying to get this little roll back towards the center line. Calling heavy hack, which I think will get her back to the nose. Will it get her across though? Just up to the nose. Little flop inside.
Great shot there by Haley Gushu. So you've just been exchanging nose hits really here the past couple of shots.
I like the same shot. Yeah. Do we have a run on the red?
No.
The yellow? I can see the whole thing for shot.
Oh. No, I don't like that. I like this first.
But we're not going to be shot. Is the
Okay, we'll get to that.
Same shot.
So a lot of options being talked about. None I would say are great.
I'm going to take it on the same nose hit, maybe try to get inside, but you have to throw such soft weight and get pretty tight to that guard if you want to get any roll under. And as you heard somebody shout, you're not going to be shot. But what else do you call?
Yeah, they're talking about the draw around, which obviously is a great call if you make it, but looking against 4 if you come up light or something. So great shot made there, though. I mean,
made it almost as well as you could have.
Yeah. Maybe you see a draw on the next one here if Newfoundland hits on the nose. We'll see.
Doesn't seem like a lot, but every time you hit on the nose, that rock moves up a foot, and another rock, and another rock. And now, if you hit this one on the nose, you might not actually be in the rings anymore.
Yeah, we started, I think, middle 8 foot, something like that, maybe 4 or 5 in a row.
Looks like a little bit more weight than our last one.
Going for curl here, though.
You need to get close to the nose. There is a jam in play here. And just just snuck it by.
Great sweep there on the outside by Patterson. Just getting over and a little scary though when you.
Yeah, that one makes you a little bit nervous. Just as you hit it, the inch on the high side, you're just praying that it scrapes by the back one.
And great weight control there too. That was probably, hack weight, maybe just easy board, and any more weight there is hanging a little straighter and jams in place. So really some good shots being made.
Huh? Like 14-8? 14-8. It's gonna be fresher up here. I don't think it's quite that much.
It looks like Northwest Territory is going to abandon the hit. Going to try and draw right around here. Definitely, I'd say a tougher draw. You're going out, they're taking ice here, edge of 12, and I think they were talking about maybe a fresher path, which I like to hear them talking about.
Yeah, this is also scary. Like you said, if you ever hang this one out or you chip the yellow in the top of the 12-foot there, you could be looking at a big number pretty quickly. So this is almost a must make. But I'm with you. There aren't a lot of other great options. Let's see. Not a lot of defensive options that you could remove a yellow other than maybe that wide one. But this is over curling a little bit.
Over curling, it's a little light. Gonna tap Newfoundland in just half a rock. Now you're looking pretty good here for Newfoundland and Labrador.
You got a couple of options. You can play offense or defense or somewhere in between.
Well, yeah, that would not be good.
I might be inclined here to play that tap, yeah.
So that's one. But I always look at which rock is going to screw you later, and that red could be the one that does it. So I don't mind a nose hit on that red. And then what does Northwest Territories have if you do that?
I don't mind that at all, but it looks like this team, maybe early seeing they prefer a bit of an offensive strategy. We see them putting up guards and drawing without fear. So I think I like this call, actually.
Yeah, so what we're going to draw this up for you, if we can go back to that view. Oh, maybe not. So just going to tap up the yellow closest to the center line, kind of between the two reds.
Yeah, if you can make this good, it's looking like a possible crooked number.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I get why. I just feel that there would be another opportunity to score. If you take away that red, I don't know how Northwest Territories gets one in there. You're leaving them an opportunity.
Absolutely, and we'll see maybe Northwest Territories will make them pay, as you said. This is curling early, though, it seems.
Yeah, we've got to stay on it. As long as they're by this red, which they are, and then let it curl now. You can split them on.
I don't think that's a bad result.
I think that's a great result.
You kind of do double duty there. You kind of, maybe prevented a red tap on the angle there, as well as getting another one in the house.
Yeah. Red's in a bit of trouble here, and they need an end saver from Kylie Skogie. We have an interaction. We'll listen in.
You hit that one on the nose, push it right back here. All you need is back 8 weight. Raise the red one. Any place in there, how are you going to get it out?
I can throw what I just threw on this side over here. Same one. Yeah. Okay, you got it.
You got to be back 4,
like,
back 8.
I like here.
A couple options discussed. It looks like deciding on.
We'll draw this one up, looking for the.
All right, I'll try out this machine here.
Trying to tap that one right into the 4-foot. They said back 8 weight. You're not quite hitting it on the nose. So you're going to lose a little bit of steam on that transfer. But if you do get one in there, it's going to be really tough to get rid of.
It's a tough shot, but there is quite a bit of real estate in there. You can tap it a little bit of flexibility on the angle and just try to get it lost in there.
Yeah, this one doesn't have to be perfect, but there's a big circle called good enough. Line looks pretty good. It's starting to curl.
Weight looks close too. They're really pounding it though.
This looks really good.
Let's try to keep the angle and have enough steam.
Just ran out of gas.
Yeah, sometimes on those taps, you just got to throw a little bit extra weight than you think.
I thought she had out over halfway down. I thought that was plenty of weight, and it actually just kind of grabbed and slowed down. There hasn't been a lot of play on that side of the sheet for this whole end, and maybe that was just a little slower than we expected. But as it stands, yellow's got 2 in hand.
Yeah, we gotta get this. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, even though she came up a little late there, she did do a good enough job of removing 2 of the yellow counters. So Team Newfoundland and Labrador is going to be looking to play maybe a split is what I've seen. No easy draw path, obviously, to get in there. So you're going to have to be a little creative to try to get your 3rd point.
It's going to be a similar shot to the one she just threw, trying to get up to that kind of the 2 yellows that are closest to the center line. And yeah, there is a split there potentially for 4, but they'd be happy to either tap that one in or just miss it and potentially score 3 the easier way.
Yeah, I think if she draws to her own 2nd shot there, top 12, she will be 3rd shot, I believe. So I think that's what they're playing.
Pretty good attempt there. It was looking like a 4 or a 5 potentially, and now some work to do for 3. Kaylee Locke with the last rock in the 5th end, looking for a handful. They're by the guard. They're on the yellow. They just need to move it a bit.
Great shot there.
And that will be good enough for 3. And that will take a 7-2 lead to the 5th end break. We're going to take about 5 minutes, and we will see you on the other side.
When I think New Holland, the first word that would come to my mind, I would think success. I think without it, for me, the success isn't there.
Whenever you deal with somebody so long and they take care of you, you remember that.
New Holland builds products that will continue to evolve and make the farmer more efficient, that can produce food for the world.
Ag Solutions. Everything you need to win the season and go full seat ahead.
Hey, Canada, come on into Montana's, where weekdays have turned into deal days. Why not check out our half-price wings every Monday, $5 tacos on Tuesdays, all-you-can-eat ribs Wednesdays, and drink deals every day, only at Montana's.
Here's to those who ask how. Like Kevin, who asked Janine from Home Hardware how to build a place to work. Or not work. Or Siobhan, who took Josh's advice and created a front yard worthy of this TV commercial. Or Eric and Sasha, who asked Julie how to reimagine their backyard so they could be more outdoorsy. Complete your next project with helpful advice from thousands of store owners and team members across Canada. Home Hardware and Building Centers. Here's how.
Everything I've worked for, everything I've sacrificed, has led to this. It's out of your hands now. All the gold medals in the world can't help you now. You could throw the perfect rock and still miss, but it just takes one. You leave it all out there on the ice to leave behind a legacy.
Welcome back to the New Holland Canadian U21 Championships from the Suncor Suncor Community Leisure Centre at McDonald Island Park. How's that for a mouthful? The folks of I've lost it, man. The folks of Fort McMurray have put on a heck of a show for these young curlers, and it's not over yet. We still got a few days to go. My name's Brian Chick. I'm here with Alex Duncan Wu. And you're one of the athletes in question, and you got to say this has been a pretty spectacular event.
Absolutely. Love the environment, love the facilities. Most importantly, love the fellow athletes that we get to compete against and meet over the week.
Our action at the moment is between Newfoundland 1, Kaylee Locke out of the Remax Center in St. John's, Newfoundland, versus Northwest Territories, skipped by Sydney Galusha out of the Yellowknife Curling Club. Newfoundland and Labrador currently leading 7-2 at the fifth end break. After, you never like giving up 3, but it seemed like the way that end was going, that 3 was actually a small victory for Northwest Territories.
Yeah, absolutely. Team Newfoundland and Labrador, they've been making some really good shots. That nose hit there, and just really hard for Northwest Territories to get in there and try to maybe steal a point or two.
Pretty straight here. Got it.
Unfortunately, it looks like the corner guard here just slipping into the rings.
Yeah, Kylie Skogie's last one, the angle tap looked really, really good, and maybe just fudged or kind of dug in from the hog line in, and if she taps that 2 feet further, it's a whole different end, and Newfoundland's got work to maybe even get a second point, but it was not to be, and 3 on the board, so advantage Newfoundland and Labrador.
Absolutely, it's tough when you have those shots that you just miss by this much, or you just take a guard and it goes from, maybe a potential steal to 3 or 4, and we've definitely had our fair share of those as well, and I'm sure most of the teams have, so really just need to regroup after that. Lots of game left, still 5 ends. Just take a deuce back, maybe a 3 if you can, and just build from there.
So plenty of playoff positioning still to be decided. For most of the teams, this is their 5th, or in some cases 6th. Some cases their 7th game. Some teams haven't had their bye yet, so there are teams that have 5 games, there are teams that have 7, and it'll all even out by the end of the day on actually first draw Saturday morning, so still yet to be decided. The top 3 teams from each pool will advance to the playoffs. Each pool has 9 teams, which means you're playing an 8-game round robin. You just want to be in the top 3 by the end of the week.
Yeah, and a lot of teams there, they're really vying for that top spot in their pool, because that brings them straight into the semifinal.
Yeah, the number 1 seed advances straight to the semi. That saves you a game, gives you a little bit more rest. And then you would play the winner of a 2-3 game, potentially from the other side. 1 and 3 from each pool, play the 2 from the other pool, I think. Anyway,
Sounds right.
Top 3 advance, and that's where you want to be by Saturday morning. I think it's safe to say that both of these teams will be out of playoff contention with 4 losses. Newfoundland at 1-4 right now. They did beat a good Alberta team, but the rest of the week hasn't really sorted out for them. And Northwest Territories actually with 2 wins over Northern Ontario and the second Newfoundland team. So they're 2-4. But I think to advance to the playoffs, 2 losses, you could probably sneak through. 3, you may need some help. But if you can keep it to 1 or 2 losses, your playoff chances are pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. I think generally it's pretty agreed upon that 6-2 is, safely into the playoffs. 5-3 is where you get into those tiebreaker LSD scenarios, and that's where it's really key to get your LSD as solid as you can and really prioritize that throughout the week.
I like that. 9-5.
In Pool A, Allie McNutt out of Nova Scotia is currently 6-0, so you can almost guarantee her a spot in the playoffs and probably the #1 overall. Quebec's Jolienne Fortin, 4-1 right now, and then handful of others with 2 losses. Pool B, currently led by Melody Forsyth out of New Brunswick at 5-1. And then a lot of teams with 1 and 2 losses there too. So it's really too early to say how this is going to shape up, especially with a couple games to come.
Absolutely, and of note, it looks like Team Forsyth and Team, it says Booth there, but it's Team Beaudry. They're playing on sheet D, I believe it is right now. So that's a big game for both those teams. If you're can get that game, you win the tiebreaker over that team, and it also propels you potentially to that first place in the pool.
That Sheet D game is also available on Curling Canada Plus. We've got 2 sheets of action for you, as well as the Canadian Wheelchair Championships on this week. So thank you for tuning in on Curling Canada Plus and for your subscription. And for this event, you do have the option of 2 games.
Back to our game here on Sheet C. Looks like a nice hit and roll there by Team Northwest Territories. Potentially setting up a deuce here.
We've talked a lot this week about the junior deuce. Split your rocks on opposite end of the house and don't let the other team throw a double. But we also said that it's harder to execute than you think, because you do have to make every shot to a degree of perfection. You can't roll out. You can't roll too far and bunch your rocks together. So you're basically going to be throwing either draws to the side, which you have to make, or you have to throw a nose hit where you have to stick. The other team, chasing team, only has to maybe make a half shot. They can roll out. They put the pressure back on you, but it's easier to defend against the 2 than to execute it, especially if you set it up too early in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. When you're practicing, you really emphasize you want to make your open draws and open hits. If you can make your open draws and open hits throughout the event and be consistent at that, you'll have a really good shot of doing well. I like this freeze call here by Sydney Galusha. I think some teams, they may just be incentivized to hit that yellow stone out on the wings, but when you get out there, it can be really tricky on the line. It might curl really hard, it might stay straight. I think the draw is a lot easier to control, and especially since yellow is second shot, no need to hit the air out in the wings, just draw to it.
No, I totally agree. I think that there's no point throwing a risky hit with basically no wiggle room for error. If you can draw to anywhere in the 12-foot circle, you're going to be doing okay. However, this looks like a little spicy. And there's the unforced error that we were talking about. Now, just like that, the junior deuce is no longer in play.
Fortunately, it becomes a junior force. That is, if Team Newfoundland can execute the open hit. I love the little mid-slide little remarks that we've been seeing. You're sliding, oh, that's tight, oh, wide, uh-oh.
We had a lot of players during the mixed doubles last week who, I don't know if they realize how often they talk to themselves, but you would hear people whispering their pre-shot routine kind of under their breath, but as they put their head down and clean their rock, they'd be whispering right into the microphone on their lapel.
Oh, right.
And you heard some pretty silly conversations with their own self who was about to throw the rock. Some people are just singing, some people mumbling, some people giving themselves a pep talk, but we hear it all. The mic's right there.
So once again, calling a freeze here, which I also agree with, being down as many points as you are.
Yeah, you might as well use the rocks in play, the ones that may be able to help you.
Keep going, Ella. Keep going. You got it.
And this just needs to curl a little bit, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, great shot there. You know, forcing, even if you don't make it perfect, you're still forcing the other team to make a tough shot if you ever overcurl here and jam or get a little wide. You also get your draw weight down for potentially later on in the end or the game.
Yeah, we have discussed a lot about how throwing a perfect freeze on this ice is tough because of the amount of swing. Where if you throw the right weight, by the time it starts slowing down and comes to a stop, it's almost going sideways. So to gauge the curl and the speed perfectly and to lock it on the nose is really difficult.
Kaylee Locke here, just trying to hit. Doesn't necessarily need to stick, just make it go away, I'd say.
I just need to chip it off, and there's two ways to make this. This will be good enough, I think.
Yeah, with those rocks, no problem. Great sweep there.
One was to pick it clean, and the other was to make it that way, hit it on the nose and lose both the backing. But as long as the red goes, they're not going to be too picky.
So we're going to see if third time's the charm here for Northwest Territories, trying to make the freeze.
Kylie Skogie looking for another freeze. Coming at it from the other side this time, though, playing the intern.
Nice communication there before the shot, just making sure the sweepers communicate the exact weight. If you're off by, you know, even a couple feet there, that really changes the angle on the backstone. So
with her first in the sixth end, Kylie Skogie looking for a perfect freeze, and it's all up to the sweepers.
Sweeping this hard, looks like it's going to be in, but not going to get to the back wall. Good sweep to get it there for second shot, though.
Looked like the line wasn't that bad, just needed about 6 or 8 feet more weight, and it would have been really close.
So Team Newfoundland just going to hit this, make this rock go away and take their force.
You got to be a little bit careful. There are some jams. It's a little bit unlucky. It would have to be a little bit unlucky to jam it, but it's certainly possible, because I tell you, I've done it.
Yeah, I mean, these shots, these open shots, you know, sometimes you can get a little bit complacent. I've done it too, and I think really the key is just to focus, make the shot as if you needed it for a deuce or whatever you need.
Yeah, treat it with the same specifics as you would, you know, a perfect run back or something. You have to hit it on a particular spot, because once you get it in the make it go away camp, it's sometimes a little too generic. This looks okay though.
Yeah, nice shot there. Sticking on just rolling a rock towards the center line. It's going to be a draw with backing here for the 1 point for Northwest Territories.
All right, you got it. I'm not going to throw these rocks again. Okay. Sydney's going to take my 7, and I'll take probably yours. Okay.
Kylie Skogie seems to not be happy with the pair of rocks she has.
Yeah, I'll take them further. Just leave me 2 rocks that are not
Whether there's something wrong with them or whether it's psychological, sometimes it doesn't matter. You just doesn't. If you don't like them, don't throw them.
Absolutely.
But if it's in your head, then get rid of that thing. So their last rock in the 6th, looking for a single, throwing against 3. Callie Skogie of Yellowknife needs a chunk of the 4-foot.
Looks like the sweeper's calling heavy early, but now it's coming over.
Go, Ella, come on. Whoa.
And not an issue there. Looks like it's going to settle in nicely for the 1 point. Great sweep.
Right up to the backing. A point on the board for Northwest Territories. That'll make it a 7-3 game. We'll be back with the 7th end after this quick break.
Ag Solutions. Everything you need to win the season and go full seat ahead.
Another point on the board for the Northwest Territories. They trail 7-3. Newfoundland 1 in the lead. Bryn Chorstowski, the lead for Territories, throws up a perfect center guard. And Izzy Patterson throws the out-turn draw around it, coming down your screen right now.
Right over. Just a two. Oh. That's good.
I'm Brian Chick. I'm here with Alex Duncan-Wu, skip of BC2. One of the participants in the men's side of this event. And
Heat should be good. 18 or something. Yeah, 18.
What are you making of this game so far? What's been the difference?
Yeah, I think just a couple of small misses on the Northwest Territory side. You know, it's hard going down 4-0 early. I think good setup here by the lead could really help them get back into this. Obviously, being down 4 without Handler, it's a really tough spot to be in. But as we said, 4 ends left. If you can get one every end for the next 4 ends, there you go, tie game. So you never know, right?
Yeah, people steal one all the time.
Steal one all the time.
Sometimes you steal 2. Hate to say the difference, I think, might have just been a bit of bad luck in the second end where Northwest Territories was sitting 1 and managed to give up 2 with their last rock. And just by missing their shot by a half an inch, it turned into a lot of trouble.
Yeah, they went from, you know, possibly getting 2 or getting 1 to giving up that steal of 2.
That alone, that one shot could have been a 4-point swing.
Yeah.
Izzy Patterson with her second. Trying to play that draw come around again. A little more weight this time from the sounds of it.
Yeah, we'll see what they do with this rock. Obviously being up 4 points. Anything behind the tee wouldn't help you, but this looks like it's coming down real nice.
No.
That's a
shot there.
pretty good spot.
Yeah.
Nice patience there. They didn't panic and try to make, you know, if your weight is close, you know it is going to curl, but you just have to believe it. And
yeah, definitely. Even as we get into the later stages of this game, sometimes the ice, we say it's kind of fudging up or the speed's coming off a bit. So it's really crucial that the sweepers, you know, stay with those rocks, even if they do seem like they're heavy, because the last hog line in, it could really come down.
yeah, and I think that's critical for every shot. I know that sometimes you think it's hopeless and you kind of lose interest and maybe take a step back, but sometimes that last few licks does make a difference from the hog line in, and you do need to stick around because your skip might be changing his or her mind.
Maybe just a little heavy there on the weight, but does bump that Newfoundland 1 stone into not a bad spot right behind their stone in top 4. So
yeah, that's a good result. You can't see it from that angle, but right behind Callie, the red territory stone is almost frozen on the yellow Newfoundland rock. So Penny looking to just peel the guard, and that's a success.
Good sweepers.
yeah, nice shot there by Sataya. Might just be guard peel for the next couple shots here.
Yeah, it seems likely. We do see a lot of that at this stage of the game.
Looks like this one floating out a bit. They're going to try to get it to curl over.
Just carve it. You don't need to knife it.
Yeah.
Hard, Callie.
Nice sweep there on the outside, getting it right over.
Okay. That's just,
She's not going to cover her stone, but it's not terrible because it's hard to remove that red stone there on the top 4 foot right now.
Yeah, that guard isn't. It's closer than I thought it was going to be based on where it was at the hog line, but it did walk right over. And
Just clear it. This is what's killing us, right?
But then they just come around.
Interesting discussion here. It looked like the skip, Kylie was thinking about just blasting everything out of there in the 4 foot. And then someone brought up that they'd just be coming around. I don't mind the blast in the 4 foot as well.
I think that's what I'd be calling. And the other option is if you come up a little bit and just kind of nose it. Now you're frozen on the 4 foot. That's not the end of the world either. But yeah, if you hit half a rock or less with a bit of weight, oh, we'll make it the other way.
Well,
well, that's one way to do it.
Yeah, and definitely not the call, but
that might have been
pretty good.
Might have been the best result you could ask for, and
got everything off the 4 foot there. I get a replay.
You lost the guard, you lost the backing, and you lost one of the red ones. So sometimes it goes like that. And maybe didn't
curling luck.
Yep. The gods giveth, and the curling gods taketh away. And
absolutely.
I am a firm believer that in the long run, it does all balance out. You play enough, you get a lot of good luck and a lot of bad luck. It's all roughly even.
Like what, 16-2?
Didn't see the call here. It might be just a center guard. Oh, or maybe going in.
Trying to bite top 12. This one's really curling. A little bit soft on the rotation again, and you can see it just drift.
It's going to be a good result.
Pretty good. Really tough, if not, well, not impossible double, but really tough. It's thin.
Yeah, no need to go for that at this point. Just play a nice hit and roll.
Yeah. Kaylee Locke not sweating too much. She knows that she can hit the 4 foot more often than not. So as long as she's got a shot for 1 even, she'll be happy. And if Haley Goujiu here can make a little roll, then it might be for more than 1. got the hit. It's going to roll wide, but it will sit for shot.
Yeah, no shortage of curl there going inside out. We've been noticing that this week.
Yeah, I don't think many shots have under-curled going inside out. Maybe partially to do with the shooters, but also I think there's so much curl on this ice, and inside out tends to go a little bit more aggressively. But speaking of inside out, Sydney Galusha trying to chase that yellow. Needs to curl a long way though.
Yeah, maybe just a bit of outward motion on the release. Working on it hard here.
Gets enough of it. Just made a liar out of me. I said not very many people under curl going inside out, but there's an example. Now you see Kaylee Locke just get up and ask Haley and Kaylee to get that red out of there.
Looks like just trying to hit and roll here.
Would like to spill it on, but it doesn't. Oh, and they do. Not critical there, but it's a. I think I would have liked to have tried to roll a little bit further, but like I said, the threat of a big red end is no longer a possibility. So
still, though, opportunity here for Northwest Territories. We're going to use that stone as a guard and come right around. She makes a good one here. Definitely, skill is definitely in play.
It's one of my many coaching cliches is that it only takes one good shot to steal. And if you happen to make the right one, you can put a point on the board.
Yeah, things can change in a hurry, too. If you make a good one and maybe get a miss, you could turn around quickly. So, still opportunity here. Lots of opportunities.
This one looks a little bit tight already, though.
It's a combination of tight and light there, it looks like. Never a good combination.
Yeah, and like we were talking about earlier, sometimes you just see a little something in the release where it wasn't quite out to the broom, or maybe it wasn't quite as positive as some of the other ones. And
I'm just thinking if she comes around, like if we go here, she comes around.
Yeah.
Like, if we miss it light, it's okay, hey?
Yeah. That would be the way to miss it. Okay. Like, top 8 is really good.
Yeah.
I like that they're talking about the tolerance here. They're playing the draw here, and definitely the one place you don't want to be is back 4, right? So I think tolerance, our team uses it a lot, talks about it a lot, and most teams do. And definitely a key example here of basically where do you not want to be, and knowing that when you're throwing it.
Yeah, they're kind of, the book says when you have hammer, you want to use your corner guards, play it wide. But Kaylee made the comment, we're going to beat them to it. If we throw it behind the corner, then Kylie Skogie's just going to lob one in behind these staggered center guards, and you're going to be in trouble. So if Newfoundland and Labrador can get there first, that's really should do a good job to lock up some points and really make it difficult for that steal, especially if you take into account that tolerance. Leave it on the short side so they can't follow you down into this draw path.
Looks like sweeper's calling a little bit heavy. We just talked about
you
the
don't want to be back 4.
Don't want to be back 4, but it's coming down.
She left a little bit of room.
There is room. That pinhole is open.
Almost perfect. Just maybe 6 inches heavy, maybe 2 inches heavy, but a really good effort there from Kaylee Locke. And now Kylie Skogie's going to got to make a pistol here to potentially steal. If she makes it, the steal is really very possible. But you got to be absolutely perfect with the line and the weight on this.
Yeah, key shot for here for sure.
You almost need to carbon copy of what Kaylee just did. Like try to throw the exact same line, same weight, and that will be good enough. But it's remarkably precise to move that yellow just an inch and sit on the pinhole.
Climb light out of the hand. Doesn't look too bad.
Line's pretty good. Here it's walking up. This is going to be really close. This could be good.
Absolutely terrific shot.
Oh, that is money.
Terrific. Wow. Great shot there by Callie Skauge.
Couldn't really walk it down much better than that. Great sweep, good judgment, good team shot. Everybody did their job.
That's definitely a confidence booster for the entire team.
I don't know that there's an angle here that you can get rid of that.
I'm not sure either. You can only see probably half of that rock, or maybe 2/3. There's a good angle for us there. I'm not sure that you can make this. This is you have to hit a good 7/8, I think, of that rock, or 3/4 at least. But there's no danger here, I don't think. So
no, I think you're right. There's no real way to hurt yourself. But I don't think the shot is there.
Maybe she'll prove us wrong, though. We'll see.
It has happened. Got to hit absolutely all of this. She's real close.
Oh,
yeah, that was about.
That was not.
No, that's as close as you could get.
Terrific try, but.
Great shot by Callie Skauge. Leads to a steal for Northwest Territories. 7-4. We'll be back after the break.
When I think New Holland, the first word that would come to my mind, I would think success. I think without it, for me, the success isn't there.
Whenever you deal with somebody so long and they take care of you, you remember that.
New Holland builds products that will continue to evolve and make the farmer more efficient, that can produce food for the world.
Everything I've worked for, everything I've sacrificed, has led to this. It's out of your hands now. All the gold medals in the world can't help you now. You can throw the perfect rock and still miss, but it just takes one. You leave it all out there on the ice to leave behind a legacy.
Hey, Canada, come on into Montana's, where weekdays have turned into deal days. Why not check out our half-price wings every Monday, $5 tacos on Tuesdays, all-you-can-eat ribs Wednesdays, and drink deals every day, only at Montana's.
Well, we were just talking about how it only takes one good shot to steal, and boy, did we see it. An absolute pistol of a draw by Callie Skauge. Locks one on the button, totally buried, and there's your steal. Kaylee Locke gave her an inch, and Callie Skauge took it.
Yeah, battle of the Kaylee's. Maybe it's
Kaylee and Collie.
Kaylee and Collie. Close enough.
I don't know. I'm sure their family or their friends listening are calling us names, but Yes, we have Kaylee skipping one team, Collie skipping the other, and both of them made great shots, and Collie made the better one. So we've got a 7-4 game playing the 8th end. Newfoundland and Labrador still have the hammer, and you are watching the New Holland Canadian U21 Championships on Curling Canada Plus. So thanks for tuning in. And this one is not going to get there.
Yeah, great shot on.
You've played on this on this ice surface all week. How much does it change over the course of the game, and does it break down, or does it get a little slow later in the game?
Yeah, definitely. I'd say it definitely gets a little bit slower at the end of the game. At what point it gets slower, I think it's changed a little bit, but it's definitely something you need to be aware of. You know, early game, you kind of have that one draw weight locked in your mind, and sometimes if you stick to that draw weight late in the game, you can kind of pull the string and come up light. So I think it's something you know, maybe talk about between ends or talk about between shots with the team is something that is really key on this ice surface.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of games so far this week, and I think I said how many games we played? This is draw 14, so we've watched 14 games on this sheet, and I think this is the first time where it's been a little bit obvious that it's slowing down quite a bit. You know, you see some rocks that don't quite make it, but these seem to be acting a little bit differently, grabbing a little more substantially.
Yeah, we've been hearing some times, been throwing around. You know, you started the game 15, 15-5. My experience near the end of the game, you're getting more into the 14s, 14-5, 14-3, something like that. So, you know, we can listen in on the curlers, see what they think the ice is doing, and see if they can adjust to that.
Well, Bryn Chorstowski did her job through a center, made the come around.
Bryn unfortunately came up late on her second guard there, but
then sorry, that was Izzy Patterson.
Izzy Patterson, yeah, that's right.
And now we'll see Satay Penny take this red off the corner.
Interesting here, Newfoundland with the hammer, and generally as a rule of thumb, you want to have the center open. So in this case, even though that North of Territories rock is hanging on the side, I might be inclined to peel the center rocks and keep that open. What do you think?
10-7, 10-5.
I agree with everything you're saying, and I just feel that Kaylee Locke really, especially coming from playing a lot of mixed doubles earlier in this year, is just really comfortable with that center clogged up. Loves playing those come arounds, loves playing that tap freeze game, and I think she's quite content to be sitting top 4 foot with staggered guards in front. Now, I'm not saying that you're wrong. It's totally, in theory, the right call to open up that front, make sure that you have an easy shot to score. But I get the sense that Kaylee kind of likes that there because she's just been playing so much mixed doubles lately.
No, of course, and you have, as you said, that stagger there, and you know that top 4 foot rock or top 8 foot. That's hard to outdraw. So we'll see here. Nice shot here by Ella Skougi, sorry. Even though she is back 4, looks like she is shot rock.
Yeah, so here comes the reckoning where she initially called the draw and said, you know, maybe those guards are a problem, so let's get those out of the way. So Satay Penny looking for the double peel, trying to get the front cleared up.
Looks like maybe just got this one out there a little bit, working on it hard to get it back to center, and just ends up stuffing it there. Not a bad result. Those rocks were pretty close to each other, so I think it was, you'd have to hit it extremely thin to make the double.
Again, there's a little bit of good news, bad news here. Your guards aren't staggered anymore. You're sitting second and third, but one good shot here from Sydney Galusha can really put the screws on. Looking for an in-turn draw, just kind of half tucked on top of the 4 foot.
Yeah, definitely opportunity here for Northwest Territories to put some more pressure.
Sydney Galusha, a basketball player when she's not curling.
Always good to be a multi-sport athlete. Yeah, you know, train different muscles, get different motor skills.
We were talking about it earlier in the week. We asked a lot of the curlers to fill out a questionnaire about what else you do, what do you like in school, do you play an instrument, and how many people were competitive and at a high level in other sports. It's pretty impressive. A number of people say that they've done national championships or provincial championships in baseball or soccer or what else was it? A lot of golf even. A lot of golfers on the men's side, that's for sure.
Yeah, golf and curling definitely go hand in hand, the summer sport, winter sport.
You can play it to nose with this, or you can play it that way.
So the draw, perfect weight, just left a little bit open. There should be a double there. Kind of hit what you can see. And you should get both reds going. Even if it curls up to the nose and you park it, that's still going to be better than it was. So Haley Gushu looking for just a kind of a control weight double, but this looks a little tight out of her hand already.
Come on, Iz, hard! Hard, Iz! Hard! Go, 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 go! Okay, that's fine, Haley.
And unfortunately just rocking on the top one there. Maybe it's a little hair tight.
Yeah, that seemed just right out of her hand. You could tell that she didn't quite get out to the broom there. But, as we were saying before, improve the situation by getting that guard out of the way, so not all is lost.
You got it.
Guard going up here. Good spot here for Northwest Territories to maybe seal. They have two there in the forefoot. And that top 8-foot stone for Newfoundland kind of acting as another guard. Kind of in the way of the hit right now.
This one's a little farther wide, but looks like it should just hook right over right about now.
Right at the hog line there, just comes right off.
Yep.
Good stone management by the sweepers there.
Yeah, really nicely placed by the Northwest Territories. Doing everything they can to stay in this game and looking good for a steal right now, but Haley Gushu wants something to say about that.
Yeah, if this angle runner's made, it's going to be looking pretty good here.
Got to keep this on the high side.
Okay, that's fine.
And just got off the sweeping a bit and it jumped on them.
Yeah, just squeaked by the top one on the on the bun there. Ooh,
they're almost lucky they didn't hit it, because if they ever just rubbed it, it was going to redirect past the back one.
Okay.
Yeah, agreed. They're a little bit lucky maybe to still get one of the reds out of the rings.
I think that was just the line call got a little casual. You got to remember, with the softer weight, it is going to curl, and as soon as they lifted the brooms, it took off.
Especially late in the game, you might get a little extra finish as the pebble comes off.
I mean, that was maybe 2 inches off real good and almost turned out real bad. So, Kali Skogie. And when she's not curling, she does short track speed skating and fastball. Not a lot of speed skaters in my social network, so good on her for doing all the niche winter sports.
I'm gonna try to put up the guard here. Looks like it needs to stop curling. And as we've been seeing the whole game, just that little extra finish on the guards, but I think that'll do the job covering, most of the stone, I would say.
Yeah, like you can see just as it stops and it starts to grab right here, that little extra half turn at the end just opens it up a bit.
And I think it's worth the risk.
We'll see if interaction called here by Coach Sandra Sparrow.
I like board. I don't think anything more than that. I don't think you're going to get the finish on the end. Okay. All right.
This one's definitely here with board weight. If you can get somewhat close to that red guard and kind of hit a good chunk of that yellow, you should be able to stick around and sit 4.
Just hack.
I think we heard Coach Sandra talking about risk versus reward, and definitely for this shot, the reward is definitely very high if you can make this. That said, personally, this looks tough to me. You can only see about half that rock. You really got to trust the late finish, and as Coach said, just keep it to board weight or less, and trust that it's going to finish late after the guard.
Yeah, and the other thing is, you can take on that guard a little tighter, knowing that if you chip it and get it out of the way, that's still a win.
For sure, the tolerance is definitely on that side rather than on the wide side.
So, little hack board waiter trying to skinny the guard and run the yellow back on the red. This has to curl, but I think it will with this weight.
Got a cross center though, it's moving, but
starting to go, and just too thin. So there's a window of opportunity here for Northwest Territories. Just had probably a little more weight than she wanted on that one, I think. Maybe just a hair wide.
Yeah, maybe look a little bit up to me. I mean, nevertheless, I think that was a tough shot, and as we talked about for tolerance, getting that rock out of the way gives you a path to the forefoot at the end of the day.
Coach's interaction here. Brian Kellen.
Okay. You're good, Callie.
You can bring her down and talk to her. Just get time.
Top one. She's just going to play this. Yeah. So top one.
I like that interaction called by Coach Brian Kellen. I believe they initially indicated for a guard or maybe a top 12. And then as they pointed out, Callie Locke does have that double off the side to the left. As well, I think, if you could sink one in there right on top of your one you have right now, you could possibly steal 2 if, force Callie Locke to maybe have to draw the pin or play a difficult double.
Yeah, I totally agree. I like the call, and she made it last end. Perfect freeze coming around to the button, so trying to do it again to really put the pressure on Newfoundland. Callie Skoggy with her last in the 8th. Hanging a little bit wide, needs to curl.
Sweepers indicating heavy.
Just don't want to leave this spot where you make anything easier for Newfoundland.
And they won't, unfortunately, squeak by and...
Pretty thin. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know, but what way do we like it?
Yeah, just heavy out of the hand. You may have seen, we talked about the plan B there. Maybe if we had been able to sweep it straight earlier, keep it on the back yellow. And
well, that goes back to tolerance too. You want to throw the perfect freeze, but you could have been 6 to 12 feet light, and it still would have been in a better spot.
I have to play it this way. Okay, I'm gonna go
So, looking for the thin in off this yellow.
This is where this is
I wouldn't say a extremely difficult shot, but definitely not an easy shot by any means. You gotta hit, half rock or less. Maybe a third or a quarter will do it.
Playing this inside out is difficult. Sometimes, you look at something and it suits your eye and it fits better, but if you're throwing peel and you can get to the lower half of that rock, I'd be throwing the in-turn, but Kaylee's taking on the out-turn.
Yeah,
the out-turn, you just have to skinny that red guard.
Yeah, it kind of gets in your peripheral. That said, you do have a better angle with the out if you can get by, so.
All right, looking for the peel weight in off. Looks pretty good.
Ooh,
and how about that for 3? Great shot there from Kaylee Locke. 3 points on the board. That makes it 10-4 after 8. And that is handshakes. What a way to finish. Dramatic fireworks from Kaylee Locke and Team Newfoundland. They get their 2nd win. Thanks for joining us here tonight on Curling Canada Plus. We will be back in the morning at 9 a.m. for a men's draw, and we'll see you then. Take care. Have a good night.